Aloha, ¿cómo estás? Oh, wait, no,
Wrong
that's
training,
later.
I think.
That's 9 o'clock later, sorry. Hey, guys, what's going on? How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. It's another beautiful day in South Florida, so I'm enjoying it. So, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Steve Turrisi. I'm the Director of Training and Technical Services here at JL Audio. I am at JL Audio, too. Today I have with me Mr. Rob Haynes, joining from Southern California. Please say hello, Rob.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
And the man of the hour today is going to be Mr. Kevin Ferry, joining from the greater Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. Please say hello, Kevin.
What's happening, everybody?
Excellent. So, continuing on our theme of marine products and applications, Kevin's going to be going through our MVi line of amplifiers. This one's very near and dear to our heart, not only because it's marine, but it's also kind of part of our family of integrated DSP amplifiers. And I think that the engineers did a really fantastic job helping us bring this product to market. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin. And while he gets ready to share his screen, remember, Rob and I are here to answer any questions that you might have over on Facebook chat. We'll do our best to get to as many of those as we can. And we'll fire some questions over to Kevin, depending if it needs to be addressed to the whole audience or whatever the case may be. And there'll be time at the end for some Q&A if we have any more. So take it away, Kev.
Yeah, and one thing to mention also is if you are here watching us, you don't need to click another link in the Facebook comments.
You've already found the stream.
Come in and watch us. You have arrived. So keep that in mind. All righty. So we're going to get started. This is going to be dedicated specifically to the MVi amplifiers. Like Steve said, this is a very near and dear project that was to all of us throughout the company. We're going to actually start off introduction, why DSP kind of matters. We're going to go through the product concept itself, get into the hardware, some of the accessories, and really kind of dig in a little bit to the benefits of integrated DSP and how to take advantage of some of those DSP scenarios and really make the best use out of them. So starting off with why DSP matters. DSP means a lot. It's better overall performance in the boat. Most people enjoy going out on their boat for the day. If it's going for a cruise or going out on the water for sports or a day at the sandbar, hanging out and having a good time. And generally, in all of those scenarios, they like to listen to music when they're out there. And the way that they listen to music is probably going to change. If you're out there towing people out behind the vessel, you're going to be hard on the throttle. You're going to have a lot going on, a lot of noises. People are going to want to listen to it out on the backside of the boat. It's going to be quite a bit different than if you're parked with the engines off, just relaxing and enjoying. Or even take that one step further, is just going out for a nice cruise, just a couple knots out on the lake, nice and slow and relaxing. You're going to be listening to that music in all different types of ways. So having the flexibility is very, very important to be able to go ahead and do that. And it's repeatable. That's a nice thing. When we take a look at retailers, you're able to go in and repeat what you've done on previous vessels by using that DSP. I know not every vessel is going to have the same exact system, but it'll be nice because a lot of vessels are pretty similar. You might have 4 zones or 3 zones in a lot of vessels that you do. So you have those zones already set up, and you can utilize that to give you a good start going forward with the next one. And it's going to give everybody what they want on the listening end of that, especially, and things that they may not even know is possible, which is really cool too. And we'll dig into a lot of those things here as we go down through the presentation. So the concept of it, we designed these or these MVi amplifiers specifically for the needs and wants of those marine audio systems. As you probably know, or maybe you don't know, marine audio systems are really, really designed differently and sold differently than a lot of systems are out there. There's a lot of different variations than you have when you're looking at a car system. When you're looking at marine, they're set up differently than most systems. We talk a lot about zones, things that you don't have necessarily in a vehicle. You might if you have a limo or something like that, or a bus or something fun that you're doing. But your normal vehicle doesn't have multiple zones inside it. And that's really an important distinction between those marine and car systems. And like we said, they're also tuned quite a bit differently because you're not encapsulated in this nice little bubble that the car gives you. It's wide, it's open, it's airy, it's spacious. So they are tuned quite a bit differently. And also the way that you're listening to it in those vessels too. When you're in a car, you're sitting in a seat, hopefully, and not walking around it as you're going and doing things. So we're on a vessel, you're more than likely going to walk around at some point in time on that vessel. So you're kind of having some different listening habits in there too. Now, there is no denying that there are a number of shared features with our VXI amplifiers when you take a look at this and the DSP. And we'll go through kind of the similarities and kind of more focus on what makes MVi products more ideal for those marine environments, other than it just being white. So we'll get through and get into some of those details here. So some cool things to know about JL Audio and the MVi amplifiers. We engineered these, and when we take a look at the engineering that has gone into these, Steve says this is really a thing that we as a company have taken to heart, and that's really because almost every single facet of our company has a hand in either the design, engineering of the hardware itself, the electrical engineering team down in Phoenix, our software team up in Portland there, and the firmware that's on these, the design aesthetics of this. Realistically, almost everybody has had some part in a hand in these amplifiers, in the way they look, the way they're being used, the way they're being tested, and the way that they can be set up in the system for the customer too. So really a lot has gone into these amplifiers, and that's why they are so near and dear to all of us. So getting into the amplifiers themselves, we'll start off with what comes in the box, because that's when you open them up and take a look at everything. The MVi amplifiers come with all of the right accessories to get you up and running, including a 6-foot USB cable. I would say 2 meter there, right? For our guys across the pond there. To connect either your Mac or PC for tuning. You can get a longer USB. We do sell an 18-foot or 5.5 meter USB cable on there. Analog input output covers are also all included in there. Please use these on any of the non-used inputs and outputs. It just gives you a little bit better layer of protection on them. We give you the screws to mount the amplifier, and the coolest thing with them is we give you these short pigtails to go ahead and connect your speaker wires to, with water resistant connectors that really help simplify that install. All the plugs and everything get laid out. Actually, if you take a look, the mounting tabs on these are actually keyed. So you can take the amplifier itself, put it up there, and then slide it down through your screws, and then lock them in. And then you just take your connectors and connect them all up, and you're good to go. All of your pigtails, and that, it makes it very, very, very simple to go in and install these.
What kind of connectors you got there?
They are Deutsch connectors. So there you go, Steve. Thank you for showing those for us. All righty.
The benefits of being in the facility, right?
Right.
Little Deutsch connector. Unfortunately, I cut those off of the other ones, so I had to pull the spare parts.
But those connectors are key, and they're just, I mean, even looking at them and feeling them, they just have a great, great feel to them. They're not inexpensive connectors by any means, and will help with your connections for your speaker wires on there. So let's start off. We have the same power connector that you use with the JL Audio amplifiers that you're normally used to, very similar to like the VXI and some of the other ones that are out there. It is a complete clamp down on the wire, thanks, Steve, rather than just a set screw that pushes into the wire itself. You get a full clamp that gives it a great, great connection. It's very, very strong and tightly in there. One thing to mention here is you will need to run the remote turn on wire with these amplifiers, as MVi does not support signal sensing on there. So just keep in mind, I don't think you run into signal sensing turn on very much in the marine environments, if at all. So we kept it with the remote turn on there. The inputs are our differential balanced inputs like you see on the VXI and again, some other JL audio amplifiers that we have throughout the line. The technology is really cool. It allows you to use a standard RCA cable, but delivers many of the benefits of a true balanced connection like noise rejection from RCA ground loops, and it accepts a wider range of input level on there also. So you get some cool benefits with that. The JLID COM port, it can be connected to your MVi hub, to your DRC, and your BTC also on there. Some of these may need an adapter though, and we'll kind of get in and talk about which ones will need an adapter as we go through these. Last but not least, while we're talking about some of the input side of things here, is we do have the USB, and that is for plugging in your computer. Again, make sure that when you are done using these connections, like the USB, that you are putting that cover back on it. And again, if you aren't using any of the innies and outies, make sure that you're putting the covers back on them also. So we're going to talk a little bit about the hub here. The MVi hub allows you to connect up to 6 MVi or MV amplifiers together to make a network of amplifiers. You can even use this on VXI amplifiers if you wanted to. Maybe you have one that you need to add in. Maybe you have an area that is in a very, very confined elements. It's not open up to the elements or anything like that. And you can go ahead and use a VXI and connect it to there. I'm not sure why you would want to do that because the channels really can coincide with one another. The lines almost mimic one another exactly through the power ratings and all of that. So with the MV products, like we said, you can connect those also, even though there's not DSP controls on board with the MVi or with the MVs, you can still control them. You can connect to tune software, set up the input sensitivity adjustments and your low pass filters or anything like that. And additionally, when you are working with a network, you do have the ability to mute individual channels across the network, including those MV amplifiers, which makes it really nice when you are going through and doing your tuning on there also. So the hub uses, like we said, the JLID protocol for all communications and allows for a single point connection for your tuned software, which is really, really nice. So you connect your computer right up to this or your BTC up to this, and you can go through with Tune Mobile or Tune for your PC or Mac and go ahead and tune the entire network from that one single connection point, which makes it really, really, really easy to go through and do. Now, Tune Express for your cell phones, you can use it for a single amplifier, but you can't go through and tune a network. It just doesn't have that horsepower. You have to go with mobile or with the computer version of it. Now, there's also, you'll see a NEMA 2000 connector on there. This is actually for future development. It's not utilized right now, so you can't connect this up to a NEMA hub or a network and have connectivity between them and do that. So, Steve, you are the best Vanna. I wish I could see you through more of these trainings. This is amazing. So just keep in mind that you cannot connect that NEMA network connection as of yet, but there may be something that comes down the pipeline in the future that we're able to utilize that for. So DRCs, there's actually a couple of controller options available for the MVi product. Steve actually has one of these. He's probably going to show you here in a second. The first one up is the new MDRC50. This is a really, really good looking button, as you're being able to see here. It's very similar to some of the other controls that you might see on the console of a vessel. However, this one is specifically to be able to use on the MVi amplifiers to go ahead and switch your presets. Now, it is nice to have that matching high quality switch, like we said, that is found on many of the vessels out there. It is IP66 rated on the front side of it. And then you could see the embedded illuminated ring that Steve was showing you there. It actually matches the color of the preset that is currently active on there. So you have up to 6 different colors that will switch between. And I always say make a little color chart for your presets just so you know what they are, because some of them may be a little close on what you're listening to. You might have a dock preset or a toe preset, and they might be very similar to one another, but make sure to have a little marking, a little color coded chart somewhere that you use out there. So just keep that in mind. So you can also use the DRC 205. The only benefit to this would be is that you would have some audio control or level control that you can go ahead and set up when you're using Tune software. However, when we talk about a lot of these vessels and what we're doing with these, many of them already have 4 separate zone controls. So the DRC and the volume control really don't make a lot of sense to have that. Preset control is what you want to be able to have the most control over, and that's why that MDRC 50 really comes into play. If you are using a 205, it is not designed to be out in the elements, so keep that in mind. It needs to be somewhere that's probably not going to get sun and rain and a whole lot of other stuff that you're going to see out there out on the water. Make sure that you're hiding it away somewhere and keeping it tucked out of the way. But like I said, 9 times out of 10, you have a volume control or a media master type of product, if not a media master, that has separate zone controls, and you can utilize that for all of your volume controls, and it becomes redundant with multiple volume controls with that 205. So use the DRC 50 and you will be good to go. So when we come in and we talk about the different connections and different connectivities, the DRC 50 can plug directly into any of the MVi amplifiers or into the MVi hub. You don't have to worry about anything with that. Now, if you are using a DRC 205 and plugging it into a single MVi amplifier, it does require an adapter that I'm guessing Steve is going to hold up for us here in a second. So it does require that MVi DRC adapter. So just keep that in mind. And the adapter, again, is not marine specific. You want to make sure that you're keeping all of these things hidden away and out of the elements that aren't getting water in them or anything like that. So if you are using an MVi hub, you can go directly into the hub with the 205. But again, keep in mind, you're probably not going to need that 205, and it is not marine rated. So the DRC or the MDRC 50 is your go-to for your DRC controls. Now, let's talk about the back side of this amplifier. Now that we got the input sides all taken care of and our accessories taken care of, it's very important in the marine environments to be able to distribute audio, whether it's a very multi-zone complex application, or maybe it's a more simplified application. But being able to distribute audio properly is very, very important. And we have a ton of inputs on almost all of these amplifiers. We have at least 3 zones of inputs, or the ability to input 6 channels into all of the MVi amplifiers. And most of them have 2, 3, 4, or 2 or 3 zone capability of outputs, I should say. And we'll get into some of the details with that here. When we're taking a look at these outputs, which amplifier do you have there, Steve?
This one's 700/5. So it's got
how many outputs does that one have on it? 2?
3 pairs.
3 pairs. Okay. So you got 3 pairs of outputs. So you could run 1 zone plus the subwoofer and then take 3 zones out of that specific amplifier. And,
yes, you can
be able to really get all of your wiring simplified on there. And by using the software and using those pre-outs, it's really going to simplify distribution. You're not going to have to use multiple Y adapters and all of these other things that you may normally have had to use in the past. Really, again, simplifies that by having all of those innies and outies. And then last but not least, you have your speaker outputs on there. Did you want to say something, Rob?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, when you think about these larger systems, I was asked like, well, why would I need all these innies and outies on a ski boat? Well, there's larger boats out there than ski boats. You may have a boat where one zone, you can use all 4 zones from a Media Master, but one zone might be 16 or 20 speakers. You're going to need more amplification than just one amplifier. So instead of using the Y adapters and splitters, having dedicated pre-outs that you also then have control of the levels over, and maybe those other amps you may be playing around with aren't DSP based, so we can still bless them with that processing on those pre-outs. So, having these innies and outies for these very complex large systems really makes life a lot easier for the installer and the tuners.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Rob. And then, like we said earlier, you have your speaker wire outputs that come off of the end there into your Deutsch connectors, and it makes it nice and easy. And we talk about all these innies and outies and all of this stuff. The nice thing about this is you will find all of those connections on that front panel. So you can go ahead and install this amplifier, have it facing the front panel facing down. So that way, if it gets splashed or anything like that, you're not getting water directly into that area. And then you can have little drip loops on your inputs for all of your wires coming in. So if the wires get wet, instead of it coming straight down the wire into the amplifier, it will just bleed down off of that drip loop itself. And it really, really helps keep the amplifier protected. And you'll notice that the key holes on those mounting tabs are keyed for that specific direction of mounting. So that way it goes down and you don't have to worry about it. You have to go out of your way to mount this thing upside down. So just keep that in mind. Now, the inputs can accept up to 16 volts AC on there on the MVi products, and the MV the mono amplifiers can accept up to 8 volts. And we'll take a look at all of those here. And when you take a look at all the inputs, you can start to see really what MVi is all about. For instance, we take a look at the 600 or the MV 606/6i. This thing has a ton of inputs and outputs. You can run a complete multi-zone marine audio system through this thing and have the ability to set up and tune the entire system using all of your DSP, like Rob said, from a single connection point, which is so, so nice. And then you'll notice that the mono amplifiers, as we've been kind of talking about them going through, they don't have an I in the model number. They are MV only. We actually listened to everybody. We had a lot of things when we came out with the VXI amplifiers and said, why do I need DSP on my monos? Not all the time. It's nice to have sometimes, but not all the time do you need that. And with as many outputs that have DSP on them in the MVi lineup, you can just run your MV amplifier off the preamp output of your MVi and add that DSP to it if you require it. Not all the time do your subwoofers require it. Mainly timing and stuff like that, you're going to want to mess with a bit on there. So,
hey Kevin, real quick, in car audio applications, having a smart bass amplifier does make some sense because very often the first upgrade is to add a subwoofer.
Right.
And if you did that, you could use the DSP from the VXI and send that into a non-I type amplifier as the mains when they add that. So there is a benefit there. But in marine applications, it's very rare that you'd only be adding a sub. So it really doesn't make sense to have that kind of processing power built into the sub amps, knowing, as you just pointed out, that we have the ability to do that on the preamp outputs. My favorite amp is the 606, the MV 606i. It's got 8 channels of input and 6 channels of preamp output. So basically, you could take all 4 zones from a Media Master source unit, run all the RCAs into this, and you have a hub and spoke, right? So you get all the zone controls from your control unit and all the DSP control through the MV600/6 out to any other zone that you wanted to drive with it. So that's incredibly flexible. I think you're going to talk about the zone behavior and stuff a little bit later, but just wanted to get my plug in for 600. That is my favorite.
It is actually my favorite on there also. It really makes sense when you look at the amplifier itself. So let's get into some of the technologies. I'm not going to get into all of them, and I'm not going to get into these very deep. We have a few trainings that are out there that we've done already that get into some of these technologies in a more in-depth look. I want to talk about Next D2. We use these new, smaller, more efficient devices in it, along with a very, very well-designed board that keeps the minimizes the path that everything travels through. And it really makes MVi an extremely efficient, amazing sounding amplifier with minimal noise and actually minimal interference to other outside devices also. Since a lot of these things are encased in metal, it keeps that outside interference down and contained inside the amplifier itself. So you're gonna have very minimal outside interference from the devices on there also. But minimizing the draw of the electrical system, it's extremely important out on the water. It's not like a car where you have a vehicle that's normally always running. You may be off power for quite some time out on the water and listening, and you wanna make sure that you can get the most listening time out of the bank of separate batteries that you have on there. Just to keep that in mind. I see Steve shaking his head there. Yeah.
I'm just laughing because, you know, I've encountered my times with sea tow out on the ocean, and that's a lot more expensive than calling your friend Rob to come bail you out on the quarter of 4th and Main. You know what I mean? So boats power, you're literally on an island, and if you don't have a way of getting help, you know, you'd be wise to consider an efficient amplifier, something that doesn't kill you. So,
right.
Yeah.
And if you
That's
don't,
a broad assumption that you're assuming your friend Rob's going to even come and help you on the road.
Well, if I was waiting for you, it'd be a long time. We're about as far away as we can get, Rob.
he'd be better off calling me for that one. It'd still be a long time.
I guess the thing, I don't have any local friends.
But if you don't have a separate battery bank in the vessel, make sure you are very much paying attention to it, because it is an amplifier. It is drawing current, and you don't want to have to worry about that sea tow. So pay attention to your voltage. Yes, you will get more listening time, but there is an end to all of that, whether it's a non-efficient amplifier or a very efficient amplifier. You just are able to listen to it longer, but sooner or later there is going to be an end on that. So just pay attention to what's going on it. But if you can have a separate battery bank in there, it is the best way to do it. That way, when the battery or the system ends up dying, you can still go out there and start the vessel and be able to get back on your way. The other one I want to talk about is advanced rollback protection, and you'll see that these two kind of coincide with each other and how they're being used out on the water. With Next D2, we're very efficient, less strain on the charging system and batteries. When we talk about advanced rollback protection, it keeps the amplifier playing even if you get into a very dangerous overheating, or I shouldn't say dangerous, but a very extreme overheating condition of the amplifier itself, because it only rolls back the peak power. It doesn't cut back the entire amplifier. It doesn't go through and attenuate the entire amplifier by a certain decibels. It just cuts back that peak power, maintains the gain of the amplifier. In most cases, it's not even noticeable. So between these two technologies, you're going to be out on the water, you're going to be playing efficiently, and you're going to be playing reliably too. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to worry about that. And they really do work well out on the water to give you guys an amazing listening experience. So integrated DSP, we're going to go through and talk about the chipset itself. It is 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, which is a little bit different than what you would find on the VXI products at 2496. And this change actually gave us the additional horsepower that we needed to go and put DSP processing across more channels on a given amplifier. So like we said, all of those preamp outputs have DSP processing on them. We needed to get that horsepower from somewhere, so we just changed the processing on that a little bit there. Now, it will down convert. If for some reason you're out there and you're listening to music that is 2496 or 192, it will still play that music. You don't have to worry about it. It's just the way it's being processed through the amplifier itself. So just keep that in mind. So as a result, in the change in processing, we're also able to give signal delay quite a big boost on there too. When we take a look at it, MVi, you can have your signal delay as small as 0.02 milliseconds compared to 0.01 on a VXI amplifier. And this is really kind of an insignificant change, especially when you're dealing out on the water and people walking around and doing all of that stuff. But it gives us the ability to cover those larger distances that you probably see in those larger vessels on there too. And we've also increased that total delay, like we said, 35 milliseconds. That's over 40 or 39 feet, almost 40 feet itself. So it gives us a lot more control. The VXI is actually only 20 milliseconds, and that may not be nearly enough to cover some of those larger vessels, especially some of those big center consoles that you see down there in South Florida. So some of the benefits of it and why we have DSP in them and why we have all of these cool tuning capabilities with delay and EQ and all of that that good stuff. Well, some of the benefits is one, the chipset and that high-end chipset that we have in there is actually able to go through and manage the amplifier. And it's a clock, a master clock, think of it that way. And it synchronizes all of the channels in that amplifier, and it helps eliminate any undesirable interactions between those channels that could be caused by variations in switching frequencies between them. It's reducing noise, improving efficiency, and that sonic performance. We also get complete zone control from a single amplifier, which really simplifies the install on there too. So when you take a look at these multi-zones on there, I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you've sold anything into a vessel, you have broken them up into zones. When we go through and we talk about this, we're going to have some of these trainings that get more in depth on this zone selling and zone setting up and tuning and all of that good stuff. It's really going to help make sense of these. Signal routing really minimizes the need for Y adapters like we talked about earlier, and all of those Y adapters could really induce noise and complicate the system on there too. We have 6 presets on there that are separate presets that can really simplify the user experience and make it really easy to go through and change between those different listening environments that you're setting up on the vessel itself. And it can enhance the existing legacy products like Rob mentioned earlier. If you have an amplifier like an M series amplifier, even 2 M series amplifiers on the vessel already, you can go ahead and add a 600 or an MV600/6i into the system and be able to run those multiple amplifiers off of there and give them the DSP and really be able to fine tune those amplifiers also. So it's really, really nice to be able to go through and enhance your existing legacy product also.
I had a friend who had a boat. He had 2 or 3 M series amplifiers running, all the speakers inside the vessel and the subwoofer. And then he added some tower speakers. And I think he went with the MV600/2i. He just wanted a powerful 2-channel for his towers. But because you have all those extra pre-outs on there, he was actually able to tune the entire rest of his audio system because he put a 2-channel DSP amplifier on it. It was so cool that 1 amp for his towers literally allowed him to improve everything else that was already in his vessel and really kind of modernize it when you think about it.
That's a really good story. That's exactly why we did that. It's
right. So speaking of that and getting into the different systems and all of that there, I have just a setup here of a Media Master going into our favorite MV600/6i amplifier. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the benefits of routing wires, routing RCAs, and routing all of your zones and capabilities on there. So say you might have a standard system in here in your vessel that's got 6 or 3 pairs of speakers. You got a pair up in the bow, you got a pair in the cockpit area, and you got a pair back in the rear section of the vessel too. So you might want to just have one zone and have all of those speakers running off of one zone and one volume control, or you can run all of them from that single amplifier too, and have all of those inputs from all of your zones going into the amplifier itself. Now, if you are not setting it up, say you're just setting this up as one zone, I still suggest running the RCAs if you ever think or plan or have an inkling of doing an upgrade down the line, because getting from the receiver to the amplifier is normally not the easiest thing to do in the world. So I would suggest, as you're running that one pair for zone one, just run the rest of the zones back there to the amplifier. And for future upgrades, what's that?
There is no good reason not to. And I know you have to buy 3 extra RCA cables. Just buy them. It's a lot easier to do it once than to do it, another time later on. Tearing everything apart. Now, forget that. Let's go ahead and run those extra cables right up front.
But the nice thing about that 600 MV 606 or 600/6i amplifier, to me, Steve, and we talked about this being our favorite one, is I can run that standard setup in a vessel off of this amplifier. It's got 6 channels. I can have those 3 separate zones on there, and then my future upgrades become really cool and expansive at that point in time, because I also have those pre-outs out there. So if I want to go ahead and I want to add in another amplifier for zone 2, and I want to add more speakers into zone 2, I can go ahead and do that and add that secondary amplifier in there. And then I want to add another amplifier in specifically for zone 3. And you'll notice I'm not having to take my wiring and direct it into those other amplifiers. I'm just going straight into my main amplifier as my single point and utilizing those pre-outs to go to those secondary zone amplifiers. Makes it super simple for going ahead and adding all of those in. And last but not least, I want to add a nice subwoofer amplifier into the system to be able to go ahead and get my subs in there too. So it really helps you out. Make sure if you are running this that you're running all 4 zones to that single point, because it will help you out, especially if you're going to upgrade the hours that it will take you to go back and do it. You're going to save by just buying those RCAs right up front. So it's very minimal investment to get you going. Now, presets and how we use presets in different activities. Some of the common examples are driver focused on there. Most vessels, people are going to be up walking around. So it might not be as important to have that driver focused like on a pontoon boat as it would be a center console fishing boat, where you're going to be in that one spot. A pontoon boat, people are kind of up, walking around, having a good time. You might not need that driver-focused one as much. Sandbar or rider, where you're directing most of the audio to the rear of the vessel. You may even be shutting off the front speakers on that vessel and just turning on your towers if you have them, or some rear aft speakers that you have out back. So you're going to have some different listening on there. Dock party, depending on how your vessel is facing in how you park your boat, will depend on that also. And cruising, being out on the water, having a good time and going through and listening to all of the speakers. Maybe you have everything kind of set up to people standing up at ear level, just kind of walking around and having a good time. You can have that one on there. Also, tower speaker control. One of the biggest things I see is people asking how to turn their tower speakers off when they're just riding around and doing things. So now you can have a preset to be able to go ahead and turn those off. So like I said, depending on the vessel, may depend on the different areas that you have. Like I said, if you have a center console boat or something like that, driver focus might be a big one. If you have a big, larger party boat, your cruising one might be a little bit more relevant on there. So it just depends on how the customer is going to listen to the system and how you are going to listen to the system in your vessel, and make sure that you are setting all of that up appropriately. And the little button that Steve has over there, you're able to just press that and switch between all of them, which makes it really, really nice really convenient and very, very fast. It will shut off your tower speakers, so that way they're not railing on there. It will change the way it's tuned to have your timing and stuff change to the rear of the vessel rather than it being all of in the middle. It changes the entire listening environment that you're working with. So just keep in mind, understand what you want, set it up to how you're going to listen to it. And that's great, the flexibility that you have with all of that DSP and being able to change those in a very, very quick manner with just a push of a button. So very important.
Something about the button itself, it's actually a lot faster than most people think. It's a bad analogy, but if you're changing radio stations that are on a preset, the time it takes to change a radio preset is similar to the time it takes to make a preset change using an MVi and something like a DRC50 like this one here. What I like is the examples that you got there. My default one is going to be dock party, right? So, and here's why. If I'm dealing with a customer that just paid me for all this stuff on his boat, right? You walk up to the boat, it's at the dock, right? Dock party. Have it playing for them, right? So they can hear what it sounds like when it's at the dock. And then when they get onto the boat, I'd switch to a driver focused. Show them how I could dial it in directly for you. So if you're out there just, doing your thing, all of it's focused on you. You are the most important person. You are the captain. You're in charge.
And
right?
probably the one that wrote the check. So it really sounds good there.
And then the next thing is cruising, right? You get under throttle, right? Cruising mode, hit the preset again. Now you're in cruising mode. Everything's cranked up. Kevin mentioned it a moment ago. When you change the presets, you can change virtually everything. You can change input source. You can change level, equalization, time, zone control. You literally turn off a zone like the tower control. All of that is done by literally a press of a button. Yes, it's true that in many situations you can use your MFD or the controls of a Media Master to lower levels of different zones, but that's a lot slower than a push of a button, especially if you are cruising. And when you're done cruising, you're probably going to be at the sandbar. And the sandbar, that's when everything is projected to the rear. You can turn off any bow speakers because most people aren't going to be there at that point. They're going to be out on the sandbar. So those are some of the things you can do with the presets. And again, I go through the whole pattern of dock party, driver focused, cruising, sandbar, just go down and then rotate it back through again. That's the way my mind works. And I'm often reminded that most people are just going to leave it on cruising mode because it's going to be really loud.
Right? Yeah, cruising mode and being able to shut off the towers. Those are
the two things that
ones,
people really like.
So while we're talking about presets real quick, and if this is later on, Kevin, let me know. Curtis was asking, how does valet mode work versus just making a preset?
So valet mode, sorry. My brain is going through that.
Now you can see, and it's discombobulating you.
So valet mode works on a trigger, which is really, really cool. When you take a look at the VXI amplifiers, it's a negative trigger. And the nice thing about valet mode is you can make it technically a preset that is triggered by that negative trigger on there. So you can go ahead and make that. And again, that's VXI amplifiers that I'm guessing he's bringing that up because it's not an available option on the MVi amplifiers themselves. But on VXI, you have that negative trigger and you're able to make a completely separate preset depending on what you want. Now, we call it valet mode, but I've used it and I've seen it used for so many more things than valet. And I'm guessing we say valet to kind of mute the system down or maybe turns the subwoofers off or something like that. But there's cool things I see people doing with it, like on motorcycles. When you kick the kickstand up and you have that negative trigger on the safety of your kickstand on your motorcycle, it could switch the preset to a cruising preset or something like that. So just keep in mind that is on VXI only. It is not an MVi amplifier, but thanks for bringing that up, Curtis, because we should probably mention that it is not an available option on the MVi amplifiers. So just keep that in mind. All righty. So moving forward here. So the advantages, they don't end there with all of the presets and all of the cool tuning stuff that is out there. We have Tune software that really helps streamline all of that workflow and gets all of that stuff nailed in. It is a free download, so feel free to go in and download any of the Tune softwares, whether it's for the phone, mobile device, or for your computer. Go in and download it and mess with it and just get used to it. You're able to go ahead and set up all of this stuff without being connected to an MVi amplifier. So just keep that in mind. Go ahead and download it. You can share the Tune projects, which is nice. They are just project files, which is almost like a text file. So it's very, very small. It's not going to take up a lot of space on your computer. So you can go ahead and make a bunch of these and have fun and really mess around with them, and make sure that you are keeping all of them, save them and store them on your computer. And I honestly back mine up to the cloud too, just in case something happens with my computer. I'm out on the water. I'm tuning. It's windy. Maybe the rain starts and I'm in a run and I gotta do stuff and I end up dumping my laptop in the water, dumping my tablet in the water by some chance or whatever. Just back them up so that way you don't have to worry about it, anything happening to your computer, because they're not computer dependent. You can use them on any of the any computer. So just a real brief thing with all of the tunes. We have Express. It is available for your iPhones and Android devices. It is a very basic getting in and setting up the amplifier and getting it ready to play. It does not work if you are using multiple amplifiers in a hub, so keep that in mind. It is just to get you set up and basically running on there. And you can just do a search on the app stores to get those taken care of. Tune Mobile is similar to the Tune version that's available for your computers right now, but it is a little bit tamed down. There's just a few little minor things that are differences with it, but it does give you all of the basic, or main, I should say, tuning functionality, all of your signal routing, all of your presets. You can go through and do multiple amplifiers on a hub with the mobile application on there also. And then the Tune computer software, this is actually my preference, is plugging in with the USB. Gives you a lot of shortcuts and a lot of different things that are just going to make tuning a little bit easier for you. But everybody has all of their different types of ways that they like to do things. So mobile may work better for you than computer. Just for me, it is a computer thing. Maybe because I'm old. I don't know if that is what it is.
Because you're spoiled. You know, the way I always think about it is, if you're in a hurry and you don't really want to deal with any of the cooler DSP stuff, you can use the phone version, the Tune Express, and just set it up, and then it's like a basic amplifier. The control panel on the Tune Express looks like the top of one of our M series amplifiers, and that's by design, because the feature set would be very similar at that point. If you want to tap into the DSP and start taking advantage of that and start doing some of those presets, you could grab your iPad, no problem at all. For me, much like Kevin, I think, if I'm going to have my iPad with me, I'm probably going to have my laptop with me instead. So I'll put my laptop in. I like having the keyboard. Kevin mentioned keyboard shortcuts. You get kind of spoiled using those. So it's not because you're old. It's because usually we're at a desk using the computer, and we get just kind of used to the abilities on the computer. And like Kevin said, the mobile version is almost exactly the same thing. There's very few things that aren't available on the mobile thing, and we don't even list them because we're waiting to see if anyone actually finds them. and
honestly, you can do everything that you can do on the other. It's just one, you can do it a little bit quicker. That's the only thing.
Exactly how I feel too. But
the big thing for me is on that parametric EQ, being able to left click to move it around, boost or cut, and then right click to adjust the cue. It's just so much easier than having to click in multiple places. And the computer to me is a lot easier to work with.
Gotcha. Mine's the output level trim is a big one to me, being able to just link all of the output level trims and play with everything together. But again, you can do it on mobile. You're just doing one at a time at that point in time. So just keep that in mind. You can do it. It just might take you a little bit longer, or you might be able to do it a little bit faster. So just summarizing everything real quickly here, MVi, it adds that DSP, and it is designed for those marine applications. When we take a look at all of the multi-zone installations and all of that good stuff, it really simplifies all of that, giving you that one single point of connection on there. All of the layouts being on one side of the amplifier helps you install it properly. The little keys on the mounting tabs there really help out in just getting that secured in. The Deutsch connectors, all of that stuff has been very, very well thought out. All of the DSP on the pre-outs, just very, very well laid out for those marine applications. And those presets, use them, guys, especially out there in your vessels. You're able to make all kinds of different listening changes on there and be able to switch through them easy. A lot of times when things are hard to use like that, you don't use them because there's no value to them because they're hard to go through and change. It's very, very simple to change these. They have a lot of value, and you will be able to hear those differences as you change through your different presets. And all of the accessories that we have, they are made with that application in mind, especially like that little DRC or MDRC 50 to press and change those presets. It looks like a lot of the other switches that are available out there, and it's just a very nice, clean setup along with the amplifiers themselves and the hub and all of that good stuff. So on that note, if you need any more support, if you need some help setting up zones or have any questions about tune and how to utilize some of that stuff, feel free to contact our tech support guys. They are the best in the business. The best way to contact them is the help icon or the support link icon on the website itself. However, if you're not able to do that, you can email them directly at technical@jlaudio.com, or you can call if you are in a pinch and you need to get a hold of someone quickly. You can do that. The nice thing about some of the tune files and being able to do that is if you get run down, make sure everything's labeled real good, and you can send that file over to tech support, and they can help troubleshoot you and see exactly what's going on in what you're doing. So very, very great group of guys, and they're able to really dig in and help out quite a bit.
The key thing now is label everything. We don't know what your inputs are. We don't know what your outputs are. It's hard enough in a car. On a boat, forget it. We need to know. You can eliminate a lot of problems, first of all, with your own setup, and second of all, with the troubleshooting, if you just spend the extra couple of minutes and make sure you label your inputs and outputs.
Now, the training team, if you want to get a hold of us, we are not as smart as those tech guys when it comes to technical questions. We may be better looking, though. We might be a better looking group of guys. It's debatable.
No, you haven't seen Lee lately. He's looking pretty good.
Lee looks like John Wick right now.
He does look like John Wick.
So you can email. I got my beard cut off, and we lost all of our credibility. I don't know.
Yes, you did.
So you can email us. If you email us, you can get a hold of us if you want any certain content that you want us to talk about or go back over. If you have different times or different things that may work out a little bit better for you, feel free to contact us at the training@jlaudio.com. It will be good and get you guys taken care of on that. So again, not for tech support. All righty. So let's any questions and get out.
Yeah, there was, I know one I wanted to address. I'll switch it over to just the three of us. There was one, I'm searching for it here. Questions only. It was from Tyler. Oh, yes. The famous question of, will we be able to lock the tune from clients getting into? And, this is a hard subject. So what Tyler's asking is, after a retailer puts an MVi in your vessel or, VXI if it's car, can we lock out the users from getting in and making adjustments? And I understand why. From a retailer's perspective and my experience in retail, you send a car out, customer says, I think I can make this sound a little better. They go in and they mess with the settings or stuff, not really knowing what they're doing. And then stuff breaks, that sounds bad, and it becomes a headache for the retailer. So I understand that. However, it is the consumer's product. You can't lock them out of it. If the AC guy came to install a new air conditioner at my house and locked me out of my control panel, I'd be pretty pissed. So, you know, at the end of the day, from a retail perspective, put the amplifiers in a location where it's going to be difficult to directly access via USB or the Bluetooth. And tell your customer, if you're not happy with how it sounds, if you want changes made, bring it back to us. We want you to be happy. We have the expertise. We have the proper tools to make the right settings based off of your feedback. Invite them in to get that stuff done instead of leaving it to them if they're not happy with the way things sound or they want to add extra stuff. And if you're a consumer and you want to make these changes, unless you know what you're doing, unless you've played with these types of tools before, know how parametric EQ works, what happens when you change a crossover filter frequency, you know, I don't recommend getting in there because you can severely damage your product. You can blow speakers, you can damage amplifiers, you can cause excess, you know, current draws that could kill your battery banks quicker. So, you know, leave it to the installers if you want more changes made, but we cannot lock them out of it. It is their product. Right. I understand, yes, it's your work, but at the end of the day, you know, I would say from a retail perspective, tackle it ahead of time. Tell them if they're not happy, if they want more changes, give us a call, bring it down, and we'll be more than happy to take care of that for you. And that'll stop those headaches of, you know, people going in after the fact and potentially damaging or making their system sound worse.
Right. Well, the nice thing too is if somebody does accidentally make a change to the file, you can reload the original file back in it to overwrite what somebody has already done. I mean, obviously it's going to take time and stuff like that for you to do so, but you do have that availability to go ahead and fix if somebody does mess something up on there too. So there are some bonuses to that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other nice thing, you know, going back, we were talking about the tech support earlier. You know, the beautiful thing with these new DSP products is the ability to email your tune file directly to tech support. So unlike the old analog days where we didn't know where your settings were, or, you know, we'd have to look at a cell phone picture of an amplifier, you can actually send your tune project file in. And that's why it's so important, as Steve said, in the software, label your inputs and outputs so we know exactly what we're looking at. And you can email us. I don't know how many times that project file has been emailed to us. And because we live and breathe tune software as often as we do, we can look at it quickly and go, oh, there's the problem right there. Make the changes in the software and then email you back.
Label them.
Updated files. It really helps with tech support to label them because you can send them to them and they can actually see. Because in many cases, if there's problems, something probably wasn't routed the correct way, or something was clicked accidentally that turned a filter off or did something you didn't want it to do. So, you know, label them and send the files to tech support, and it actually expedites their process to help you get that solved.
Yep, absolutely.
I think that part's just so cool.
Label them, label.
Okay, here's a good question that came in. Does MVi remember the last preset selected with the DRC?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
It does. Yeah, that is a nice deal with it too. And the nice thing about it is, or one thing we should mention is it's kind of got two types of memories on it too. When you're connected and you're doing your software, every change that you make on your laptop or your tablet is immediately affected. And then when you're done doing that, you want to make sure that you send to the device, and that stores it in a non-volatile memory that is actually on the device itself, that maintains memory even if the power is completely cut off of the amplifiers. You don't have to worry about. So here, up here in Pennsylvania, when the boats come out for the winter, the batteries get taken out and everything like that. You don't have to worry about in the summer when they put the spring when they put the batteries back in. Everything is going to be maintained on there, and it will remember those last presets with key off, or if you are shutting down completely on there too. So it's nice being able to have those presets on there. If you're on cruising and you get back on the boat and you're cruising back from the restaurant, it will maintain that preset for you. You don't have to worry about your tower speakers coming on or anything like that.
Yep. Indeed.
Well, that
Good
seems
stuff.
to be it in the chat.
Cool. Kevin, awesome job. Excellent presentation. You covered all the highlights. You got my juices going with that 606 conversation again.
It is such a cool amplifier.
It is. It just, for me, it just shows the capabilities of all the innies and outies. You take the 4-zone source unit right in there, and then it's the hub and spoke. From that one center point, it goes out to all the other amplifiers, and they all become smarter, right? Because you have the DSP that controls all of that, including the subwoofer. Like, with the MV amplifiers, you don't have the I built in, so you use that. You still have the zone control from the source unit, but it now has DSP control on that sub amplifier. So that's a really good way of doing things.
And here, I mean, we don't have the boats as big as you guys do, but here, most vessels or most boats that you have on a lake, it is a bow, a cockpit, and an aft section from factory, right? So now you can put that 606 in as your first upgrade, and you're covered, and then it enables you to upgrade again and again and again as you want to go through. So yeah, to me, it's just the home run.
Without a doubt. And the inevitable comparison that you touched on earlier is, how does this compare to a VXI amplifier in the car audio world? And to me, the way I think of it, cars and boats obviously have some similarities in terms of electrical systems. They're almost, they're typically 12 volt or whatever. But cars tend to be a solo experience. There's a driver in a car, so we can actually optimize everything for that one driver's location and know that we've addressed the most important application. But both, I would contend, it's the exact opposite. It's seldom that the person driving is alone. It's usually
too expensive.
Is that
too expensive to go out by yourself?
If you're all alone on your boat, it's either a really, really small boat or you're doing something else really wrong. You
don't have any friends.
But my point is that it's a social thing, right? So I know that if I had a boat, my focus would be to make sure that my guests had the best experience. So although I'd love it to be optimized for me, I'm very rarely going to be the only one listening, as opposed to when I drive to the dock. You know what I mean? So I like the marine environment because, like you kind of referred to earlier, it's more of a party. It's very much a social experience. And even with the MVi stuff, when you start dialing things in, the goal when you're doing multi-zone audio on a boat that MVi really helps you solve is to optimize each zone independently and then tune the whole boat to play together nice. So when you're on that cruising mode or you're in the sandbar mode and you want that experience as you're walking around a vessel or outside the vessel to be as consistent as possible, the controls that you have on MVi really allows you to dial that in. And it takes a little bit to switch gears from a car environment where we can dial everything in for the driver. Perfect, right? On a boat, it's really not like that. It's more about the tonality and the balance of everything as you go from zone to zone to zone, the different levels as you go through. And then, of course, the presets that Kevin talked about allows you to switch that energy around to whatever you're looking for, including a driver optimized.
Right.
So if you are by yourself or you're like, you know what, no one paid me, I'm on my own now, right? And you want to get a little greedy, you can. You just hit that button and you've got it. So that's what I like about marine. It's more social.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
One question that did just come in, Bob was asking if on the MVi line of amps, if we still recommend setting up the input levels with sine waves. And yeah, you still do want to use roughly around a 50 hertz tone for the subwoofer. And usually 1K is a good one for your coaxial speakers. And with the nice thing with MVi on the setup tab, where it says inputs, there's a little arrows you click and that'll open up a drawer and give you a visual indication when you set your levels. So in a perfect world, you play your source unit playing a specific tone for whatever the frequency response of that channel is going to be. And you want to pick the largest number from that drop-down menu that yields a solid yellow dot. And if you do that, you'll have perfect input sensitivity. And then once you start tuning the vessel, you can play with the output trim levels. And again, get all of those as high as you can, and as long as they're not in the red, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's the nice thing. Those clipping indicators on the MVi and MV amplifiers also have the input sensitivity set the same way, which is nice.
So point of clarity on what Rob just talked about there. When you're setting input sensitivity, the goal is to make sure that the amplifier is being driven up to but not beyond the point of clipping the inputs. And by looking at those indicators and making sure they stay yellow and they don't go into the red, you'll be clean on the input, and that's what we're looking for. So a pure tone that's unattenuated is, we think, the best way of doing that. Now, what's cool is on a DSP product like an MVi amplifier, the output is where you're going to set your relative levels. So when you go through and tune the system, you're going to get all the relative levels set by using the output level trim. So you never touch input sensitivity again. All the controls then are on what we call the back end of the amplifier, the output section. And once you get everything dialed in, the relative levels, you can link all of the channels together and turn them all up. So since their relative levels already been set, as they go louder, you're getting as much out of the amplifier before clipping then across everything without ruining your tune. Everything stays consistent. And that's cool. That's what Kevin was talking about by linking those output levels. You get everything dialed in, crank it all the way up. You're getting maximum performance with no compromise in what you've done with your tune. That's cool.
Yep. Without destroying any balance you may have already set during the tuning process.
Exactly.
That's where the linking really comes in nicely.
Yep. So. Excellent.
I think that was the last one.
That was it, huh?
All righty.
I gotta now chug the rest of this bang so I can get all amped up for the Spanish session I'm producing in 4 hours. So for those of you later tonight,
are you going to be the lead presenter on that?
Yes, because my Spanish is so good. But in all seriousness, join us tonight. Our senior vice president of marketing, Manville Smith, who's our big boss. Him and Carlos, our tech support manager, will be doing a training in Spanish on our Facebook page tonight, covering all of our amplifier technologies. So that'll be kind of a cool one.
He's doing that from his office. So
yeah, and Manville coming out of his "I'm not doing training anymore" retirement. That's really cool.
Because he doesn't have to get on the plane. That's why. He's sitting at home. He might not be wearing pants. Excellent. Well,
so
thank
Steve
you. Go ahead.
Steve going back into the office he's happy to be back in the office, but he told us the first session he did back in the office a couple weeks ago was the first time he had worn pants, long pants. I hope he wears shorts at home. First time he wore pants in a year.
Yep. So the streak ended. So, but it's all good. It's all good. I like being back, seeing everybody, watching production, and doing all that stuff. It is really cool. Okay. All right. Let's sign off, guys. Thank you all for watching. We look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.